Well, here with our Thursday night tailgate, and this week joined by Kyle Ralph from New Pal, and off to a great start again. You guys 3-0 so far, going into to week 5. Kind of the weirdness of this is you're 3-0, but you're going into week 5. The second game of the year against Decatur Central was one of those weird weather games that we have every once in a while. You guys weren't able to finish, but Kyle, you guys are off to a great start. Obviously, ranked first in Class 4A, and seem to be rolling right now. You got going into tomorrow night's game against a good Pendleton Heights team that we can talk a little bit more about. But just so far on your team, kind of where you feel like you guys are at as far as maybe what you thought you would be going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, obviously. We're still a pretty young football team this year. We've got 10 underclassmen really starting on defense. We've got 9 juniors and a sophomore starting on defense right now. So, we're still pretty young. Offensively, we're a lot the same. There's a couple seniors that start for us on offense too. So I think when you're young like that, though those guys are veterans because a lot of them played last year, you're never really sure what's going to happen at the start of a season. We had a couple strange injuries pop up and stuff as well that every team deals with. Football's an aggressive, violent sport. So we've had more guys step up, and being 3-0 right now, Mother Nature took one away from us. But being 3-0 obviously is something we're really proud of. We're in a great spot. The kids have done well. They've worked on getting better every week, taking steps in the right direction. So our schedule's challenging early on. I mean, our first 6 weeks for 4A football are really, really tough. And to be unscathed currently is a good place to be. But, we've got a saying that we're happy and never satisfied. So I think we're happy with where we are, but we can't let satisfaction set in and get us complacent. So it's been a good week of work this week.
Yeah, Jacob Davis so far, 71% completion rate, 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception, 5 rushing touchdowns as well. I always wonder about first-year starters at quarterback, but it seems like he's coming in right away and giving you guys a good, good punch there at that spot. And you got some good guys around him, I know. But what's he kind of brought to your offense so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, Jake's a very talented kid. He's got a good arm. He's got a good mind for the game. Obviously, we were with all offseason trying to figure out, what his talent level was, what he could do, what he was good at. You had Gavin coming back from last year, who actually was one of our guys that got injured in the preseason. So, him and Jake were back and forth at the quarterback spot and doing a great job, and just kind of develop what those two guys are good at, what they do well. And he's done a great job, I think, fitting into the system. We've done a good job using what his talent is. I think his legs, his ability to run is something that you don't really know until you put all the gear on. But we've been really happy with his ability to run the football for us as well. And I think his arm speaks for itself. But he's taking care of the football, which is a huge thing. The 1 interception he threw was him just trying to make a play. It wasn't a massive misread or mistake. He was scrambling out of the pocket, thought he had a guy open, and tried to fit a ball in. And Decatur's guy made a great play on it. So, but that's what you want your quarterbacks is decision making, and he's done a good job of not putting our offense in bad positions and not turning the ball back over to the other team. So you can't complain about that when your quarterback's doing those things.
I think one thing, and I should have mentioned at the start, you're in your 12th season, which is hard to believe. It's been that long now, but 130-14 overall record. 3 state championships you guys have won here. Obviously, you built this program kind of from the ground up. And I know there's a good history here of football, but man, you really hit the ground running right when you got here. I know from talking to you over the years, the weight room is kind of priority number 1 in the off season and during the season even as well. But when you think back to the being here 12 years now and what you guys have accomplished, obviously those championships are things that people talk about a lot, but you've also got a lot of guys who played college football and are currently playing college football who were part of those things. But just your tenure here so far, why do you think you guys have had the success that you guys have had over that dozen years?
I mean, it's the kids that you talked about, and it's a lot of the kids that people don't talk about as well. We've been very fortunate as the community's kind of grown a little bit. Our school, since I've been here, has grown about 150 to 200 kids in the last 12 years, which that's pretty good growth, and we're growing a little faster now. But we've had a really nice run of players. You don't win without great players, and that's not how it goes. So we're really proud of those guys that have gone on to the big schools, guys that are Ohio State and IU and Toledo and things like that. We're really proud of those guys. But you've also got the kids that go to Wabash and have gone to Franklin and have gone to DePaul and UIndy and Mary and St. Francis, stuff like that. So, and then you've got guys that just go on and are auto mechanics or doctors or lawyers, or we've got a guy that's a Division I strength coach right now. I mean, those guys are all what make your team up. And, we don't win without those kids. And the sacrifice they make, it's not easy to do. I mean, we push those guys hard in the offseason. Our weight training program's tough. The conditioning program is tough. And without their buy-in, we're nothing. And I think it's a complete understatement to say that, when I got here, you don't win without the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And number two is we've got a great staff. A lot of the guys from my first year here are still here. We've filled the ranks up over the years as things change with other guys that do a phenomenal job. And one thing I'm super proud of is a lot of our former players are back coaching for us at different levels now. We've got some of those guys have little brothers or cousins or nephews or even their own children in the NPCFL now. We've got guys that are over at the junior high helping. I think we've got 4 alumni at the junior high coaching over there. And then here at the high school, we've got a handful of my former players or former New Pal players that step up and absolutely love this community and love our program, and they wanted to come and give back. So I think when you start to see that cycle take over, you know that you've been doing great things. It means something to the kids. But yeah, I mean, the kids in our coaching staff are absolutely top notch, and you don't win without them. And that consistency is what's made us consistent as a team.
And I know, again, Kyle Ralph joining us for a Thursday night tailgate, and I had a chance one year, and what year was that? I followed you guys and was in the locker room with you at Center Grove, and it's very memorable for me and Grace Hollers.
That was 19.
19.
Yeah.
What year you guys won state, but to go in there and beat Center Grove, it was a kind of a statement win, I would say, for your program, and just to see kind of that behind the scenes for me was instructive to see how all that went. But every year's different, and I'm sure Center Grove obviously went on and had a little success. The next few years, obviously winning 3 straight 6A titles, which just isn't done. But where does that memory rank for you as far as that night and that win and being able to go in there and beat a 6A team like that?
I mean, it was a great night. We played them the year before here. It's the first time in the history of our school we played a 6A team, and we beat them here at home. And a lot of people are like, why are you signing them to a game? Why would you ever play them? You're going to get your kids hurt. You're not going to have a team for the rest of the season. That you'll never be able to withstand that. And we were lucky we had a good team in 18 as well that was kind of built for that type of a game. A normal 4A school or a 4A team, like some of our teams that maybe aren't that state championship level, it may have been something like that. I mean, Center Grove is a totally different animal. So, but it was, why would you play this game? And then we win it. And then it's like, well, that was lucky, or this went this way, or this went that way. And, Center Grove's a great program. Eric and I are good friends. He does a phenomenal job over there. But it was like, well, you can't do it at their place. It's not possible. Like, that was lucky. You caught them off guard. They weren't ready for it. And our kids kind of took offense to that, when we got into that next offseason. And, I mean, first of all, that environment was – holy cow. I mean, wow. That was absolutely insane. I think the bonus of it was they're red and white. So when we got in there, it almost felt like, well, everybody might be cheering for us. Quickly you find out they're not. But, it was a sea of red and white all the way around that stadium. And, playing there and the horn and the noise and our fans standing down the fence, full bleacher set, down the fence, around wrapped, their fans filling that whole entire grandstand. It was just an electric environment. And it was a great game. It was a battle. And we pulled away late in that game in the third and the fourth quarter. And, I was proud of our kids because that was one of our things. I remember part of our game plan was like, look, we're gonna take a beating early. Like, when they're fresh and we're fresh, this is going to be really hard for us to handle. And so it was get to the halftime and at least be, we want to be in it. We don't want to be down by 2 scores because they're going to bleed the clock out and they're going to be able to control the second half. We felt like if we were at least within a score, the second half, our conditioning and our strength would start to prevail a little bit on them, even though we were playing both ways. And we had a very special group that year, which that helps a lot. But it did. We really took the second half of that game over. And as far as pride in our kids, it's as proud as I've been because there's really no reason for us to go in and be able to do stuff like that. And all those guys playing both ways, they're playing 100, 110 snaps, and to win a game late convincingly like we did against an outstanding program like that was something as a coach that, I'll never forget. As a regular season game goes, that was a state championship environment and feel without question. So yeah, that was a great game, and I was not going to throw up before it. I promise. That was yeah. It might look like it, but I wasn't.
It was a fun atmosphere, definitely, and Center Grove obviously over the years has proven why they don't lose very often at home. So there's definitely it was definitely a great game to be a part of and watch. This year, going into this season, Kyle, you guys had, last year had sort of a younger team, I would say, to a large extent, but you're able to get to the semi-state game and play against a team that was one of those juggernaut type of groups in East Central that had a great senior class. They had Mr. Football and Josh Ringer last year, but what did that do for that to be able to make that run last year to get to that point? What did that kind of do maybe for this year's team? And I know from talking to you, that was one of your more inexperienced teams that you had.
By a lot. I mean, obviously, anytime you get to the Final Four, it's a great season. That's hard to do, and especially as young as we were, the injuries that we had as the year went on, a lot of those uncontrollables just kept popping up, and there were a lot of things behind the scenes, I think, too, that a lot of people don't know, and I'm not going to make an excuse for any of them, but I was so proud of our kids last year because they battled, and we were banged up and beat up, and we had a lot of things working against us, and even if we were fully healthy, we probably don't beat East Central. I mean, that was one of those rare teams that, and we've been that. I mean, I know we were in 5A, but we're a 4A school playing up in 5A because of the success factor stuff, but we're a 4A school by enrollment. We've had those teams where, man, if you're in 4A, it's like, well, what is anyone going to do with these guys? Mm-hmm. That was one of those 4A teams that comes along that I think if you put them on the field with anybody in the state last year, they're going to compete, and they're probably going to win. And, when you turn the film on, you know what you're looking at. So even if we would have been totally healthy and everything was going for us, that was still an uphill battle. And, I was proud of our kids. At the end of that game, obviously they're disappointed. You're one step away from going downtown, but nobody gave us a chance last year to be what we were. And I think that's something that I will always remember last season for is they did not let the standard fall. Everything was stacked against us. We've got 11 seniors. We lost one before the season began due to a hip thing that was out of our control. It wasn't even a football injury. It happened outside of football stuff. And a very inexperienced group. A couple of those seniors really stepped up and got a lot out of themselves. We're playing as many sophomores as we've ever played before. We're sprinkling in 2 or 3 juniors, and we're starting a freshman. I mean, you really should not be successful when you've got that stuff as far as a roster is concerned. But our kids every week just kept getting better and kept showing up and kept playing. We started off, 0-2, and you play Westfield, who I thought was easily one of the 5 best teams in the state last year, and then they had their own injuries pop up. And then we lose in the last 15 seconds to Decatur on the road, and then we rip off 11 in a row. And I mean, again, that's a testament back to our kids, the coaches, and what they buy into. So, you don't want to lose, and you certainly don't want to lose the way that we did last year. But the longer you play and the longer you coach this game, you're going to get it handed to you every once in a while. And we got it handed to us last year in the semi-state game, and it was embarrassing, but the kids came right back. I mean, as soon as we came back from that game, they rolled up. We had the Thanksgiving break that following week, so there's no school, no nothing, and they went right back in the weight room Monday without me asking them to do it. They were ready to redeem themselves. So I think that's where you start to realize that what we do here is important. It's important to the kids. They get it. They buy into it. That was a really brutal loss, inside and outside, no matter how you look at it. That was tough, but our kids just, okay, it happened. It's over. We're getting better from this. And in the long run, I think the loss is probably a reason why we're having some success now, because it hurt, and they realize, like, we don't want to have that feeling again, so we're going to work really hard to make sure it doesn't go that way. And maybe it will, but they've put the steps in to make sure that they've got themselves in a position to be successful.
Well, 4A looks really interesting again this year. Right now, you guys rank number 1. Chatard's out there, obviously, in 4A doing what they're doing, and just a lot of really good teams in 4A. But when I look at your roster, Kyle, Josh Raines, Garrett Raines, you've got Michael Thacker as a senior, but your junior class, really good. So it looks like, from the standpoint of, like, now I want to say rebuild, you're never really rebuilding here, I would say, but, building back, and you could have a pretty good run going. But how strong is that junior class? How much do you like that group?
They're really good. I mean, they've been good since they were freshmen. They were good at the junior high. it's been a great bunch for a long time for us. So, again, so many of those guys played last year. You kind of look out there and you feel like they're seniors now, but they're not. And you got to kind of remember, like, that's a junior. And, we got Oglesby, who played for us a freshman last year. He's just a sophomore. But you've seen them play so much football now, your brain just travels to the fact that, like, oh my gosh, like, we got to replace all these guys. It's like, oh no, wait, no, we don't. Okay, all right, calm down a little bit. But no, that's a great group. And I remember when they were freshmen here, they played, honestly, one of the best games we've ever played was a freshman game we played against Cathedral with that group when all those guys were together at the freshman team, and I had to go out and coach it and help out our freshman staff. And I mean, it was one of the most intense, physical, well-played games that I've ever been a part of, and it was a freshman group, and that's when I was like, well, this team might have something to them. Like this group might be really special. So it's a good bunch of kids, and they work hard. They get along really well off the field. They're friends. They do everything together, and that's stuff you can't fake. Those things are what we call authentic, right? Like, you either enjoy each other as a group, or you kind of splinter yourselves off, and there's these little cliques and pockets, but those guys and they get along with the other classes as well and stuff, but those guys as a group are probably as tight-knit as any group we've had come through here, and that makes it more, you want to play hard for your buddies, so I think that makes them even more special.
Well, I saw that score, the 69-62 Guerin Brebeuf game the other night. I was reminded of your Fort Wayne Snider game.
Those games aren't fun, no. No.
But I was thinking back to that, and I remember looking at the sideline. You guys didn't have a ton of people on the sideline compared to what Snider had, that night. That was such a wild game and atmosphere, just a crazy game. But and I remember going in the locker room after the game, and you it was almost like you were just winded yourself after going through that. But
it was a lot of points to watch go back and forth. Yeah.
But in the game you didn't win. I mean, what did that kind of? It felt like it said a lot about your program. Just to be in that game and to battle back the way you guys did. What was that? 64.
63 to 61, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, to get there was great. And that was the first year that any school program from here had ever had to go play up where they don't belong.
Yeah, it was
so
5A. Yeah.
It was a huge deal it was just a huge deal for our athletics program in general, that we were kind of setting a new bar, I think, for our athletics around here, of like, these guys have to go play way bigger schools, and it's not by choice. Like, we had to go do that, which I'm fine with, by the way. That I think the success factor stuff is great. But then it was like, well, can that be done? Can that be accomplished? And to make that run was incredible to begin with. Obviously, that game we fall short, and we didn't play well. Anytime you give up over 60 points, you didn't play great on one side of the ball. But so many things in that game were so adverse and tough. The depth issues, their talent, all that stuff. And I mean, they put like 6 or 7 guys out in Division I, and that year we had none. Alex was our quarterback, and he went to UND. We had a couple guys that went NAIA, but we didn't have any Division I players. So you're trying to counter, these select guys with a kind of a team attitude. And Coach Tippmann does a great job up there. I mean, they're always really, really good. So. Again, I think that was a great highlight for our program, though. I got probably as many compliments that season as maybe any season we've had from people all over the place, because they watched our game, and here we are. We don't play very well. We're down 7, 14, 21, 28. It's starting to get out of control, and then we storm back. We take the lead, which really should never happen, and then we back and forth seesaw, passing the lead to one another, and our kids just played so hard, and it was exhausting, and the emotional exhaustion, the physical exhaustion, it was a tough night to rebound from. But again, I realize in a loss that it sounds crazy, but that is one of my proudest moments of our program, because our kids did exactly what we trained them to do, and that is play hard until the final whistle. And we just didn't have enough in the tank that night, and it's the way it goes sometimes. But our kids' heart was on display, and I will always be proud of that.
Yeah, a very memorable night that was. Kyle, this year's team, as you guys go into this Pendleton Heights game, they have a couple of guys, Colton Frank, their quarterback, Keaton Jones has been a really good running back. Yeah. He even in the games that they've lost, he's run for over 100 yards and played really well. What concerns you, I guess, with what you'll see tomorrow night?
Well, the offensive line's big. They always have huge guys. They are massive. I'm not 100% sure where they're coming from, but my goodness, they're huge. So you've got to deal with that. I mean, it's one of the offensive lines we're going to play where, they've got 6'6", 290 and 6'3", 330. They've got some big guys in the middle, 240, 250. I mean, it's a huge offensive line. So just the size-wise, we've got some big guys up front too, but it's not that. And so this will be one of the teams that we play that they will have bigger kids than what we do as far as size and weight. So, and again, the running back's he's a great player, but when you've got an offensive line in front of you that can move some people like that, and they're big and they're going to get after you, that kid's talent now can obviously grow exponentially. So we've got to handle them up front. It's a huge deal. Kids that size, it's really hard to handle. So, we've got some talented kids on defensive line and stuff, but again, going against guys that are that size, it's a big disadvantage you got to overcome. So, but the quarterback, he played for them last year as well. They kind of ran like a dual quarterback system, and so we saw him play last year against us, and they did some different things with him. He's a great player, delivers the ball well. They've got some good weapons at receiver like they always have, and then like you said, the running back, he's very good. He's kind of one of those slasher type guys that you kind of see where he's going, you see the direction, all of a sudden he can put his foot in the ground and get vertical and really hurt you. That's the hallmark of a good runner. He doesn't try to run east and west. He's going to stretch you out on some of those things, then he's going to put his foot down. He can run between the tackles really well. And again, he played for him last year some, so we've seen him, but they're a year older now. They're better, they're improved, and it's going to be a huge challenge for us because they're playing well right now.
This conference, you guys have won 21 in a row in the Hoosier Heritage, and 76-2 overall since 2013. How important is the conference play for you? Just how do you guys approach that and look at conference play?
I mean, one of our goals here is to be 1-0 every week, and it's just an attitude thing of we respect every opponent. We're going to take every week seriously in the right way, and I think our kids have bought into that, which is part of our success. Is we don't talk about other people. We don't talk about week 9 and the playoffs and state championships. This week has just been about Pendleton, and next week will be about the next opponent, the next opponent, the next opponent. So, we're really proud, obviously, of what we've done in our conference. We've got the traveling helmet, and that's something that, unfortunately, since I've been here, we've had to give it away. We got it back, but it's something that our kids take really seriously, and part of their job when they play here, and we're really upfront with our guys about this stuff. Part of your job to respect and honor what all the guys before you have done as far as what they've worked for, getting that helmet back my first year. We kept it for 7, and then we lost it, and then we ended up getting it back a couple of years ago, and we've held it ever since. Part of your responsibility here is to make sure that when you leave your legacy behind and your time is done, that helmet stays in my office and that you did your job to protect it and make sure that you pass it on to the next group to begin the defense of it. So it is something that we talk about, at the meetings every Monday. It's right there on the scouting report. This is week 3 of the defense of the helmet, and everybody's coming to get it. It would be a season-making moment for someone to get that from us, and that's something that we're trying to not allow. And it does inspire our players because while none of them were there when we had to hand that thing over, it was a sinking feeling that some of them probably watched as junior high kids and stuff like that in the stands, and we cover that stuff. Like walking that helmet across and giving it to somebody else is a sinking feeling, and we're not trying to scare them, but it's the reality. Like you have a responsibility to do your best to make sure that this helmet stays here, and we're proud of the fact that we've had it for so long and that we keep defending it, and it's one of the reasons why I think a lot of our kids, do play so hard in these conference games is they don't want to be the group that has to be the second time ever to have to go give it to somebody. It'd be tough.
Well, again, here Thursday night tailgate, and wrapping it up here with Coach Kyle Ralph here at New Pal. They play Pendleton Heights tomorrow, 3-0 so far this season, and ranked number 1 in Class 4A. Pendleton Heights is 2-2 so far this year, and looks to be one of the better teams in the conference for sure. But Kyle, just you've done this for a while now. You played college football at North Carolina. Played at I should have mentioned this too, Cincinnati St. Xavier in high school.
They're having a good year this year too.
Yeah, it seems like they usually do. And but how long do you think you'd want to? Have you thought about how long you want to do? Be coaching, or it's kind of like dog years for coaches. I know sometimes.
Yeah, it may be longer than that. It depends on the day. Sometimes. I mean, I love it here. The staff is great. The kids are great. The community's great. From top to bottom, from the NPCFL all the way up to the high school, I think we've got the best the best K-12 program that you're going to find. And I'm biased, obviously, but I do believe that. I think the way that we've structured it, and the amount of people that are involved and how they approach it, understanding the alignment and the mission of what we're trying to do from K-12, I think is second to none. So, coaching's tough. There's not a lot of money at this level in it. Then, if that's what you're in it for, you're probably completely off base. But, as far as how long I'll go, I have no idea. I mean, I'm just thankful I'm still here because as a first-time head coach 12 years ago, if you just said, well, how long do you think you're going to do this? I'm lucky to I'll be here as long as they want me to be here. So my son's a freshman here now. So that's also another one of those interesting things of how fast time speeds up on you. I remember coaching him down at the NPCFL first grade league, and now, month and a half ago, he's sitting in the passenger seat right next to me for the first day of school, and it's like, where'd all that time go? But as far as how long you go, I think as long as you're having fun and you enjoy what you're doing, you keep doing what you're doing, and I'm having a great time. And our admins are great here. The community is outstanding. They back our football program and all of our athletics, I think, as well as anybody does. So I don't know what the future holds, but I'm just thankful to still be here and have a job, because it could be the other way, that's for sure. I'm thankful to have the support we have. My wife and stuff allow me to keep doing it, and it's a lot of hours and a lot of time, but I'm having a blast doing it. So I guess I'll just keep going as long as I can possibly take it.
Well, I'm sure New Palestine would love to have you here as long as you want to stay, but appreciate you coming on the show with
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.